Starting and 5, 4, 3, delay. Oh, sorry guys, I've just realized I've got the all right, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. Well, you know me, there's no show without a cock up. So welcome to tonight's show, issue 28. We are going to be assembling Radiator, but first we have not one but two co-hosts tonight, so I'll hand you over to Horlicks.
Hello everyone, how is everyone tonight? Hello Dave Milne, who else we got here, and Teddy Connor. Hello.
Okay, and I shall introduce my second co-host. I'm really pleased to announce that we have managed to bring back Dave Say.
Hi everybody. I should have said hey up, because it's Yorkshire Day.
Right, okie dokie. So yeah, should we just deal with Teddy Connor's comment first and see what your thoughts are? I'll take that as a yes. So Teddy has written, "Hi all, must say pretty disappointed with the Radiator. Needs much more detail. Is this now how things are going to be now so far into the build?" Who wants to respond first? Horlicks?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I haven't got that far, so obviously I can't actually see it in front of me. But I think, personally, I mean, everyone's got their different opinions. Personally, it wouldn't bother me at all. It's hidden behind the grille. You're not going to see a great deal of the detail through the mesh. But obviously, depending on the build, you know, you may be doing a custom build or removing the grille so you could see through. In which case, yes, you know, maybe a little bit more detail. But I can't really comment too much because obviously I haven't actually seen the part. So, but by the sounds of it, to me, it wouldn't be something I would worry about personally.
Fair enough. And what do you think, Dave?
I think it's just the same as Alex there. I don't think we're going to be able to improve much on it. And really, you're not really going to be able to see an awful lot of that radiator behind the radiator grille that's on the bus, the front grille. And in reality, you'll only really see the radiator when you lift the bonnet.
Yeah.
And perhaps we could do something like a wash over it, perhaps, or just to dull it off, perhaps save it being so plasticky, fine. But other than that, I don't think there's much to worry about.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because we are actually going to be doing, we will do the build as normal, but what I'll be doing is, now I did say I was going to do this particular build straight out of the magazine, but my personal opinion is that, how much detail can you add to the Radiator? You can't add detail that doesn't exist in real life. But secondly, because it's a plastic part and it's black, the detail just doesn't come through very well. So I've got a technique that I'll show you at the end of the build, which I think will help enhance the detail. And hopefully any of you that are saying, oh, there's no detail, you might want to give it a try. So once we've built it, we'll see what it looks like. And then after I do the added detail, hopefully you'll say, oh, that's a lot better. I am ever so sorry, but we're going to just shelve Dave Say for a little while. Well, obviously your comments are always welcome. But Horlicks, shall we get on with the build?
Yes, okay.
Right, so we are going to be, let me change my camera to my lovely building camera. So we are going to be building, assembling the radiator. Now, my first impression when we got this, because I saw it this way round, I didn't think there was going to be a massive amount, but as you kind of sort of pull it about, there is quite a lot to do. I think we've been a little bit spoiled. We've had so much to do, and suddenly we're presented with 5 stages. So and they are I know some people are going to complain, oh, it's all plastic parts, but what I'm beginning to find with the previous 27 issues is that it doesn't need to be metal if you can get a good quality plastic parts. Obviously, if it's going to be if it's like the chassis, for example, that has to be metal because that's going to be holding a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So I've just seen a comment from Paul 61. We did know the ad had been banned, but if you want us to, we'll discuss that later on. And hello back to Chris Davies. So shall we start with checking the parts?
Yeah, good. Yeah. I'll just wait for you to catch up and open the bag, and then.
In case anyone's noticed, I did a print last night on the 3D printer, and it went a little bit wrong, but it was so good I thought I can't waste that. So I'm actually going to be using it as a parts tray, which I hope is going to add contrast. As you see that these parts should theoretically show up quite well. So what I'm going to do is I'll place them in various sections as we check them off. And I'm ready when you are then, Horlicks.
Okay, so 28A is a thermostat, and that is a silver part.
I think that's this part. Oh, let me just change. Sorry, let me change my focal point. Tell you what, it helps if I do the right camera, won't it? You know, because I've got two cameras, and everyone knows I'm always trying to focus the wrong camera in. There we go. That's much better. So this is plastic. Every single part is plastic. So I'm not going to tell you if it's plastic or metal. But just like the other plastic parts, the silver plastic parts, these are quite nicely detailed. And there's lots of little locating pegs all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what? I can't see where that's going to go. Oh, please don't tell us we've got parts for another week. Right, okay, so that's 28A.
Yeah, okay, 28B is a radiator itself.
Right, and this is the actual radiator. This is what a few people have been complaining about, lack of detail. And yeah, there's not a lot of detail there, but there is. I'm really fighting with this focus at the moment. I'll bring it down. There we go. So we can see there is detail on there.
Let's see.
I mean, it does look like a radiator to me. And obviously this bit is going to be hidden. So, okay, well, that's that part anyway.
Okay, yep, 28C is the radiator top panel, and then D is the lower panel.
Right, to me, at the moment, these look absolutely the same, but I see that the holes are in slightly different places. So I'm guessing it will become clear once we actually build it. So one of these is the top and one of these is the bottom, but as at the moment, unknown which is which. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So 28E is the radiator back panel.
Okay, and someone just buzzed. Was that you, Horlicks?
Yeah, that's me.
So again, same as 28B. Yeah, not massive detail, but there is some. I think there is actually quite a lot, but it's visible. Okay.
Okay. 28F is the fan ring panel.
There we go. And that's fairly plain, but I suspect that's a Ron Seal part. It does exactly what it says on the tin.
Okay. The 28G is a fan ring.
Okay. And that's just a fan ring.
Yeah. 28H is mounting brackets.
Okay. And they look like they'll go in with a locating peg, locating peg. Okay.
Okay, and then we've got 28I, which is the radiator lower pipe.
Okay. And again, just like 28A, very nicely coloured. Again, these are the kind of parts where if I showed you, if I said they were metal, all of you viewers would probably believe me. They're that nicely painted.
Look like it, don't they?
Okay, and then we should have 15 AP screws, 1.7 by 3 mil.
And there we go. And they're the only screws in the pack this week. So I'm going to pull these out now. I'm not going to stick the label on them because we know that they're all the same. We're not going to get them muddled up with any other screws. And I have just caught this red ring, and it says that the two silver parts, 28A and 28I, are not fitted in this issue. Label them and store them carefully until they're needed. So I'm just going to pop them there for now. Okay, so one thing I'm missing is my screwdrivers.
Okay,
so I am now ready when you are.
Okay, bear with me 2 seconds.
Can you tell we rehearse a lot?
Okay. So, step 1, take the radiator, 28B, and check how it fits onto the radiator back panel. So, yeah, a dry fit.
Okay, so that will be... That's interesting.
Oh.
Right, I'm trying to fit this the wrong way, if there is a wrong way. Right. Okay, there doesn't... Oh, there will be a right and a wrong way. Yes. Actually, it doesn't really matter. Right, I can fit it in either way. Sorry, I've been fitting. Right, I can fit this part in any way round. But it seems a little tiny bit more comfortable this way. However, just having a little look ahead at stage 2. No. No. Right. It seems to be this assembled part seems to be not directional. So it will go this way. Yeah, it's going to be this way in part 2. But if you were to fit that way round and then turn it, it doesn't seem to make a difference.
The only difference I can see, Penny, is that there are 2 holes on the top in the image. On the sides, there's only one, there's some holes, and they need to be facing upwards.
Yeah.
And then you can just about follow the...
In that case, that's the correct way then. Because
yes.
If you'd fit it that way round, you need to move this. You've got 3 pegs there. The 2 pegs there needs to be on your left, and then the single peg needs to be on your right. But that will place the holes at the bottom. Whereas if you place it that way, it will place the holes at the top.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's dry fit.
And then when you're happy, put the position that into place and fix it with 4 AP screws.
Okay, we'll just test a bit. It's too big. Right. Okay, I'm happy with that. So, as always, even though it doesn't say it in the magazine, we'll probably get away with it if I don't do it. But I'm just going to fix each screw just until it bites. There we go. Right, trying to find a good focus point. Okay. Because at this point, if I suddenly feel I've done something wrong, do you know, I think I was right with that first screwdriver head. Do you know what? I'm doing the old 3 or 4 screwdrivers.
It's the only trouble, though, isn't it, with that set? There's so many different heads to choose from.
Yeah, that's so much smoother. But it gives you that degree of accuracy. So I've put those in just so that they bite. So I'm happy with that. I'm double checking. It is very hard to read the magazine because it's all black. It's very hard to see detail on black. So I'm just going to tighten those until you need reasonable beyond reasonable force to tighten them any harder. So there, stop there. And then I'll give it a check. Right, I'm happy that that's on tight. Okay. So should we have a look at section 2?
Yeah. Okay. So now you need to fit the ring, the fan ring panel 28F to the radiator back panel, and then again fix that in with 4 AP screws.
Oh, I see. Okay, I was trying to fix it onto those. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was trying to fix it there, but it wasn't going. I was trying to figure out why. Right, so we're keeping this single peg. This is kind of your marker. I'm keeping that onto my right, and I want the larger. You see that it's not that circle isn't directly in the middle. So we want the circle to go off to the left. So we've got the larger part on our right. So screw hole there. And to be honest with you, yeah, look, if you put it on the wrong way round, you can see it's not going to go. If you put it on the correct way, it will go. So, and we're fixing that with 4 AP screws.
Yes.
So again, just like the previous part, I shall just pop them on enough just so that they bite. And then I'll check that it's all lined up properly. Yeah, you can feel it when it bites now. You can just feel it starting to give a little bit more resistance. We aren't using washing up liquid because it's not a metal part. I might actually have done a little bit better to go diagonally across, but that's fine. I've got away with that. So hello to Rick the Rock Pate. How are you? Okay, so they've all bitten fine. I've noticed that this isn't flush. You see, it sits in a little bit. Yeah, if you can see that, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not a flush fitting. It's this is slightly smaller than the radiator. And I think this is going to be quite a short build tonight, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Oh. Right, I don't know if I've stripped the thread there, but it doesn't seem to want to tighten. Right, that's not tightening. That's not coming out. And that's on there solidly. So I'm going to go with it. You know, sometimes if you try and fix things, you end up making it worse. So it's not loose. It's about as level with the other screws. So I'm going to go with that. Okay.
Okay, yeah, the next step 3, take the fan ring and check how it fits against the fan ring panel.
Okay. So we've got the fan ring. Now the screw holes there, it's not in the middle, it's down at the bottom. Now it needs to go with the tabs downwards because you probably already see this. If you put it in upside down, you can see that the screws aren't going to reach. It's very, very hard because it's black, but if you really need those tabs on the bottom. and then they'll go over there very nicely. And it looks like, oh, it kind of falls into place. There we go. It locks into place. So yeah, because they've got a little ring around the hole, so they will actually surround those screw holes. So you'll know when it's in properly there. You can see that I can't move it. Okay, and
Right.
we'll fasten those with a, well, we can't fasten with anything else, can we?
No.
So that's bitten. That's bitten. In fact, I might have just put that in a little bit more than just a bite. Yeah, Teddy's just replied to that earlier comment. Yeah, we'll see how. I'm finding that you're getting some really good issues and you're getting some not so good issues. And notice I'm not using the word poor issues. The reason being is that what you think is a good issue may not necessarily be what I feel is a good issue. An example that I use over and over again, parts 12 and 13, I really enjoyed because they were really tricky. I know a couple of people that didn't like them because they were really tricky. Okay, now I'm having a second screw that doesn't want to tighten, which is this one there, but that's locked into place quite nicely. I'm not going to carry on screwing it. The gaps seem to be closed up where they're supposed to be closed, so I'm going to be happy with that. Again, I'm not fiddling with it all the time, so I'll go with that. Hey, Fleetwood. So,
Hi, Fleetwood.
section, we are really whizzing through it today, aren't we?
Yes. So step 4 is to take the 2 mounting brackets, 28H, fit the peg on each of the mounting brackets into the lower hole on the side of the radiator, as indicated, and then fix them into place with AP screws.
Okay. So I'm having a little play as you said this. Now the flat part needs to go down. So you take the locating peg, and these look absolutely identical. So all you need to remember is just where to locate the peg. So you've got the 2 holes there. The locating peg is going to go in. Whoops, try not to drop it. The locating peg, I still can't, look at that, I can't grip it. Locating peg goes into the lower one. And I can't see this too well, so I'm having to have a little bit of a feel. There we go, that's in. And then that will go on like that. And as you can see, it will equally go in on the other side. So, and obviously what's going to happen, I mean, these are called mounting brackets, and there's a little hole there. So this is obviously what's going to be used to attach the radiator to some part of the chassis at a later stage. So that part fits fine, and that that part fits fine. So I'll go with that. With guess what screw we're going to use?
Yeah.
And right. So this is slightly trickier because I've got to hold that screw on there and line these holes up. And because it's black, it's difficult to see. So there we go. It's gone in fine first time. And right, again, this is another one that I'm not going to go any further. It doesn't have a stop point. I'm having a lot of trouble with these parts today where the screw isn't, you know, when you screw a screw and you find the point where it wants to stop. This is just, it keeps going, but it's not coming out. And I would imagine that by the location of these, this will kind of be held in sideways. So I am struggling on certain parts. I don't know if it's the quality of the parts. I mean, in all fairness, I don't have problems with the parts. And, you know, when you see, like, for example, on the Facebook page, someone posting problems, you don't, in all fairness, you don't see the same person posting all the time. So I'm not complaining because the part is still functional. Oops. That's my fault for not holding it. Now that one's got the natural stop point. So I'm happy with that. That's gone loose. I don't know, maybe there you go. That's solid now. Right, so I'm happy with that.
Brilliant.
And to be honest with you, I don't think it looks too bad. Okay, so do you want to have a look at the next part then?
Yeah, okay. So step 5. It says to study the diagram. I've got it up on the screen.
Right.
Noting the sloping sides of parts 28C and D circled in red. Fit the sockets in the radiator top panel over the pegs on the top of the radiator as indicated by the dotted lines. It says this is a push fit connection. Repeat to fit the lower panel.
Right. Okay. So can I ask you to bring up the finished view? Because I think that's a slightly better angle. If you wouldn't mind.
This one.
Yeah, and if you could blow up the where the finished view is, if you could blow up that one on the right hand side, I think that gives us a better idea. So if I hold it with the completely flat side towards me, as opposed this part away from me, and if you see where the sloping parts are, it kind of now makes sense. You see this part has one side longer, higher than the other. So you can see from the where have we gone? We can see that if we're holding it with this flat side towards us, what we want to do is we want this part towards us and this part away from us, and that will go in like interesting, brilliant. Okay, so what I've just spotted was if you look at the holes on the bottom, they're different spacing. So there is only one way that this can be done correctly. So this is the correct direction, but you see it won't go in because the lugs, the hole and the pegs aren't lining up. So this needs to be turned upside down and placed on the bottom one. Be careful. It's black and you can't see to it. It's not really reflective. That's tricky. That is tricky to do. Right, there we go. It's difficult to get it lined in there. So, right. Okay. So that's the bottom in. It's not seriously flush. Right. So locate the pegs and the hole, and then just slip it over. Push it down. It's because it's curved. It's trying to come up. You need to kind of push it straight directly down.
Put it on. Sure I am.
Sorry, Dave, I missed that.
No, you're all right.
Right. So that's that. And if we do a comparison between the two, I'm trying to get the position the same. My picture's inverted. Does it look the same?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
So we see we've got this higher bit is towards me, and we've got this part away from us. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Does that look okay to you guys?
Yeah, that looks brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I really am okay with that part. It does the job. I suppose thinking about it, I don't know the inside of the engine on a Routemaster, but aren't these supposed to be fins? So if you cut across there and look down, pen, wouldn't it be like that?
Yeah.
As opposed to lines.
Yeah.
So that would be my only criticism. That it really needs to be fins like that. But I think that is absolutely fit for purpose.
Yeah.
Unless they're absolutely like flaps.
Right. But again, I don't know the inside of the engine. So. And I see you've just brought up. Do you know what? This picture took me away when I saw it. That looks absolutely amazing. So, could I ask you just to pull the assembly guide down, Horlicks, the picture above it? There we go. So that's what we've completed in this issue. There are indeed 2 screws spare. I don't know why they've given us 2 rather than 1, but it's gratefully received, Hachette. Thank you very much. So, Dave, what did you think of the build?
Nice and easy.
A welcome nice and easy?
Yeah, welcome nice and easy.
Yeah, because we have had quite a few difficult builds, haven't we?
I was actually thinking while you was building it, I was thinking, well, we're actually building a brand new Routemasters. And on a brand new Routemasters, they probably would have had a black radiator.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. What did you think, Horlicks?
Yeah, again, as Dave said, nice and easy. You know, it'd be interesting to see if other people have got the issues with the screws.
Yeah.
But as I say, it seems to be holding it all in okay. So, yeah, I don't think there's anything to worry there.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to go back to a comment that you made. I'm going to play really objectional now. You said, both of you said about the fact that this part is going to be hidden behind the grill, so it's not going to be seen. So my objectional question is going to be, are you two basically saying if it's out of sight, you don't need to worry about it, it doesn't need to be so good?
To a degree, I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
it depends on what purpose you're building it. You know, I think for me, it's going to sit in a display case or something on a shelf. You know, I'm not going to see it. Obviously, I would be bothered if something wasn't right with it or it wasn't in there because I would know. But for detail purposes, it wouldn't bother me.
Yeah. And you, Dave?
I think for me, I think it's if it was perhaps dulled off a little bit, you know. But having said that, it's not so bad as it is. Really, it's, as I said before, it's going to be behind a grill. So
yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's supposed to represent a brand new bus and a brand new radiator.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, guys. So I'm going to show you, if you don't mind, I'm going to show you a technique that we use a lot, especially in miniature painting. A lot of you may be familiar with, well, you call it weathering. I call it shading. And what weathering basically is where if you apply a shade, if you look at my hand, although my skin is the same color all the way across, you'll see that it's actually lots of different shades. It's probably a really bad example because I've got blood running through my veins, but you'll see that in the deepest recesses, it's darker, and that's what the weathering does. It just dulls that down. But equally on the edges, here you go. See my fingernail? You see you've got that shine, and that shine appears on the upper areas. Now, there's a saying that I've used quite a lot recently, actually, If you want to emphasize something, there's two ways to do it. One is to make it brighter, but also to make everything else around it duller. By making everything around it duller, it makes other parts brighter. And that's by weathering, that's how you make things brighter. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do the complete opposite of weathering, which is I'm going to do some highlighting. And I think it might help this. And this is a technique called dry brushing. So what you do is you take a color, which obviously I've got it pre-ready, which is going to be lighter than black. Obviously, black is the end of the dark spectrum. So I'm taking a neutral gray. And what you also need is this is not the best brush, but this is, in fact, I will use a proper dry brush. So now this technique will kill brushes, so don't go out and buy an expensive brush to do this. But you want a large brush. The larger, the better. But the dry brush that I have that I really want to use is not. Oh, it could be actually. I know where it might be.
Hello, Love Minis.
Love Minis, how are you? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So what I'm going to do, I mean, some of you might have seen this already. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the grey. I'm going to put the grey onto the brush as normal, but instead of painting normally, I'm going to try and remove as much of that paint as I can. And then with the residue, I'm just going to run it fairly quickly over the top. And what that will do is it'll pick up the higher areas and it'll leave the lower recesses dull. And hopefully that will bring some detail out.
Sounds
so
good.
What we need is the paint, obviously. We need kitchen roll is probably one of the best things to use, but obviously some kind of absorbent cloth. Do not use toilet roll because toilet roll tends to pick up little bits of residue. And all we're going to do, let's get a bottle lid. I do love these bottles. They're little dropper bottles, but one of the disadvantages is that you can't dip your brush into the pot. So you need a palette. Don't water it down or anything. Just use it as is. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of paint on our brush, and then we're going to rub it into the brush. And we're going to remove as much of that as we can. We're going to get it right into the bristles. And the way you know you've got enough is I've painted my thumb there. I know you can't see because of the light, but none of it's come off. And then all we're going to do, we'll find a bit that's probably going to be hidden. We're just going to run that across like so. It's a very subtle technique. Right. Can you see that it's just picked up some of the highlight?
Oh, yes.
Right. Compared to that.
Wow.
And it's just so simple to do. And the lighter you press, the more subtle it will become.
Excellent.
Now, if you use a bigger brush, you see that I've got some of the paint into the middle of it. If you use a bigger brush, you're going to get less of that effect. And it's just simply a case of just going over all of the raised areas. I'm not going to go over the screws because we don't really want that to show. And then we'll just repeat that all over. But the most important thing is make sure you get as much paint off as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're actually painting it. And we're just giving it a light rub. I know I did say I was going to do this out of the box, but I do think with people saying there's not enough detail, I think we've just got a technique here that, there we go. I've done one half there. So can you see the difference?
Yeah. I can see it popping as soon as you were rubbing the paintbrush.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely,
I mean, if this is going to be hidden behind a grill, it's going to need just a little bit extra help. Because obviously if I we did a little trial run on this, but obviously I hadn't picked it out of the packet. But it's going to look something like that when it's finished.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get... There isn't a massive difference, but I think there is just a little bit of difference. It depends how close that radiator is to the grill.
Yeah.
But I think it just adds a little bit. And if you want more, if you want it to pop more, you can add more, or you can add a lighter color. I mean, you can take this as far as you want. You might want to just perhaps do a little bit, just the top half with a lighter color. But just be careful with the steps that you're doing. If you go straight in with a white, you could overdo it. And it's just, hey, I can't hold anything today. So I'll just finish that off. And these are, I don't know if you can hear it, very light strokes.
Yeah.
If you want to add heavier detail, then you add more light strokes over the top. Don't go, I want a lot of detail, so I'm going to put a lot of paint on. That should always be your first stage. If you want to take it further, do another layer and another layer and another layer, and just keep going until you've got to the point where you're happy. So I'm just going to finish this off, and then I'm going to just catch. These probably won't show at all, but I'll just catch those edges. So it's basically where the light would be hitting anyway. So do you think any of you guys watching would, do you think that would be helpful to anybody?
Definitely is to me, Penny.
Yeah, I think
Good.
as Teddy just said, it looks better already, Penny. As you know, the Routemasters is famous for its grill, and you can see the rad behind the grill is black with a greyish silver surround.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to use this, I was tempted to use a gunmetal grey, which is a metallic paint, but I was kind of feeling that if I did a gunmetal grey, it would start to look like the paint's chipping off and starting to reveal the silver underneath. And this is as it's rolled out of the factory. So it's fair. Sometimes I find it easier to hold my hands down and then I can just go like that. It's the first few, if you do a lot of dry brushing and you've not done dry brushing before, it really does give you arm ache. So if that helps you, I think that might just add a little bit more detail. Trouble is, I'm doing this onto bare plastic, so it's not actually sticking to the plastic too well. So what you might find better is just pop a primer over it and then paint it black and then do it. That will be a much better effect. There we go. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I want it to be subtle. See there, I put a bit too much on. So if you, I'm sorry, Horlicks, I do apologise. I'm going to just paint your screw pot, and I'm going to show you the difference between enough paint and too much paint. So that's hard to see. Right. Obviously, I'm dry brushing a dark colour over a light, but so that's. Tell you what, I'll turn this light off. There we go. You can just see that grey on. That's because I've not got the focus in, have I? There we go. Could you see the grey on the edge there? It's just picked up the edges.
Mm.
Now, if I was to put too much paint on the brush, start to dry up. It's so hot that the paint is drying so quickly. So I'm going to take this to a fairly extreme. That's going to be too much paint. And what you're going to end up doing is, you see how it's just far too much there.
Yeah.
And I've started to lose control. And the best way to tell is just either paint your fingernail or the back. Then normally we test on the back of our hands, but my hands are sweaty with the heat, so it's probably better to do it on the fingernail. But you see it's showing on the fingernail. There's far too much paint there, so we just continue to rub, and then there we can see that's perfect. Now you're tempted to say, "Oh, there's no paint there; it's not going to transfer," but yeah, honestly, it will. Look, it's a subtle effect that you're after. It is there, and I can't seem to get the focus. There we go. So you see it is a subtle effect. There we go. So I hope that helps you. So I'll just go back over some of the comments. So Teddy, yeah, like you said, it does look better. Chris Cambling's just joined. Chris Cambling is well renowned for coming in while the stream's already running. If Chris ever came in at the start of the stream, I think I might faint. How are you, Chris? Anyway, Dave says that he's dry brushed before, so this all makes sense to you then, Dave? Does it? Teddy's going to give it a go. Teddy, I would recommend you find something waste bits of plastic and just practice on that. It is easy to get wrong. You might go in with too much paint. Just give it a try. I'll just come back to Chris's comment, but David says you could add a bit of rust color randomly. Yes, you can. And I will be rusting up one of my exhausts, which I've got that planned for you in a future issue. Let me find. This is a rust effect that didn't quite work as well as I hoped, but it shows you the effect, and that's hopefully how I want my exhaust to be. But when it comes to it, I'll explain how I did that. I think it's not quite relevant at the moment. So Chris, the best advice for 27 and 28 when you get those issues. Dave, have you got those issues yet?
I have, yes.
Right. Have you haven't built 28, 27 yet, have you?
No, I haven't built 25, 6, 7 and 8 yet.
Right.
I like to keep a few back and just have a good build once the few problems have been out of the way.
Right. My advice, I just had to grab a magazine to remind me of exactly what we did. 27 was last week, and that was the subframe of the front axle. My advice is take it slowly. And just study the magazine. If it takes you 6 hours to do issue 27, then it takes you 6 hours. The only bit of advice I could, what I think, and I kind of found this as we were going. I'll just grab, oops, I just knocked something over. Cool, this actually weighs a ton. Right, so the subframe at the front, right, here we go. There's a rod here, this bit there, which if I grab the magazine, which how do I lose things so quickly? How does that happen? I had it like 5 seconds ago. Here it is. Right. So one of the first things that we did was we put in this 27D between F and E, and I tightened it up, and then I struggled. If you remember, I struggled with it when we attached it to the chassis because it wasn't parallel. So I found out if I undo that, it fitted easier. Then I tightened it up again, and then when it came to putting the front wheels in, I found it was out of alignment again. So then I undid it again. So my advice would be when you do 27D, don't fully tighten the screws until the end. Once you've got the front wheels in place, then tighten that. What's it called? A cross rod, I think. Yeah, the cross rod. Leave it slightly loose. Make sure there's a bit of wobble on it. And once you've got the front wheels in, then tighten it up fully. I don't know if that was just the way that mine came out, but I did see another YouTuber, and I did notice that his subframe, he was struggling and he's having to pull it around a little bit. I would suggest if you keep that cross rod loose, you'll struggle just a little bit less, and you'll probably swear a lot less. So yeah. So does that help, Chris? Yeah. Do you know what, Chris Campling? I don't get a notification either, but someone else told me that we did get a notification. So I'm going to change my camera for you to see my ugly face, which is probably, I knew it'd be out of focus because earlier on I was adjusting one of the other camera, and I forgot I was actually adjusting this one. Let's have autofocus on this one. Ta-da! Right. So yeah, it's I don't know what happened with the notifications. This is why we tried, rather than going straight into the build, we what we tend to do is sort of chat for about 30 seconds. Because I figure if people are going to watch the live show, they're going to be waiting. And then if we just chat, once it goes live, then everyone gets the notification saying Paint with Penny has gone live now. So, you know,
Yeah,
we try not to go straight in.
It was I got a notification an hour ago to say watch Paint with Penny live in 30 minutes.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, I suppose it's different, isn't it? It's difficult.
Yeah. So yeah, Teddy says thanks, Penny. We'll give it a try. Love Minnie says special talent. Obviously, she's talking about me, isn't she, when she says special talent? Kenneth Milford says hello, all. Dave Mill, I got one, and Michael Kemp, evening, Penny and gang. Right, Chris Davies, I'm a bit confused. The scene in part 27, you've taken Francis. Yes, right. Do you remember this last week, Horlicks?
Yes.
We kind of looked at the instructions and we said, oh my God, the amount of effort that we've had to put into the suspension, and now we've got to undo it. But I found it a lot easier. If you noticed that the top didn't just spring off, let me move to me because I talk with my hands. When we had that there's like a, how do I describe it? It's like a sort of triangular bit with a rod coming down the middle. And when we were building it, if you let go, it just spring off. But when I undid it, it kind of just lifted a little bit. And I found it an awful lot easier to pop it in. And the theory on that is that because it's been compressed for, when did that go in? Issue 6 or 7? Issue 6, because that was Horlicks' last build. So it's been sat there compressed for 21 weeks, and I think over time it's let it settle, so it is an awful lot easier in 27 than it was in issue 6. I promise you that. Paul 61 says he's only just mastered a screwdriver. A paintbrush scares me. Paintbrushes are good because it's you can't kill anyone with a paintbrush. It hasn't got a sharp end. Yeah, it's panicked people. I think that's spot on comment, Dave, because obviously we read the instructions first, and then it says undo this part that you had so much trouble putting together. It's not until we actually undo it that we realize actually it wasn't quite so bad. So yeah, I don't know why I've just flicked over to let's see, Dave. Dave, your room has gone dark. Is there a reason for that?
It's because it's going dark outside.
You must be ahead of us then, because it's still light where I am. So the darkness must be sweeping down the country.
It's got really dark here actually as well. So
right. One last thing I didn't say. What I'm going to do, these little silver pieces that we've got left over, it's asked us to put them aside and store. It specifically said store. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a bit of kitchen roll. I use a lot of that. So I'm just going to wrap it in kitchen foil, roll it up, fasten it with, if I can find it, some masking tape. I have a mad frantic clear up before I start the stream. What I do is I push all my rubbish just out of view. But right, so what I was going to do is these are the parts. I'm just going to wrap them in masking tape, and then I was going to tape them probably to one of the wheels, so that it's not going to get lost. But obviously store it in a nice safe place. If you've got somewhere you store your parts, like a drawer or something, use the drawer. Some of my part works, I have a box and I have them up on a shelf in front of me. I don't know why I'm pointing at them, because you can't see them, but they're up in that direction somewhere. And Michael's, I'll hand this one over to Horlicks, because Michael Kemp is asking, where did you get that screwdriver set?
well, I actually found it on Amazon, and yeah, I saw it, someone else using it, and I thought, do you know what, I need to have a go on that. And yeah, it was brilliant. I tried it out, and it's amazing. There's so many different heads, and they fit so perfectly.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find the link, and then I can repost it in the chat for you, Michael, so you can check the link out.
Yeah, we absolutely love it. It's probably the best screwdriver I've ever used in my whole life.
Absolutely.
So while you're finding that, I'll show him mine. Is that the right camera? Oh, I got the right camera. So this is the set that Horlicks has. So you get the actual screwdriver, which is fairly telescopic. You then get I'm not good with technical words, but this is like a little wibbly wobbly end that you can screw around corners with. I'm just going to call it a wibbly wobbly end. It works for me. And then you've got like a million different heads, and you've even got two heads, which are apparently these are something to do with iPhones. So if you fix iPhones for a living, and you've got what do you call those sockets? Mini sockets. In fact, I wonder if they will fit. Oh, brilliant! Look, because I bought some. I'm working on some 3D print projects, and I've got some M4 bolts. Oh no, they're not going to fit. Yeah, but
sorry to interrupt. Teddy's just said that he bought a little set of screwdrivers from Poundland. They're pretty good too. They are the ones we started with. We couldn't rave about them enough. They were brilliant, and they are still really good. But these have got a massive edge over those. Until you've used one of these, you don't know.
If you kind of rate the screwdrivers that come with the part work, if you rate those as bronze, then this Poundland one would be silver, and these would probably be gold or even platinum. You know, this is very good. We did love it, but this is if this is good, this is excellent. But you know, this cost £1. Can you remember how much the screwdriver set was?
At the moment, they're if you want them just the set on its own, it's 14 quid.
Right. So, you know, £1 for a very good screwdriver, £14 for an excellent screwdriver. So, you know, if you're happy with this, that's brilliant. The partwork screwdrivers are okay. They're of a satisfactory standard. But these are fantastic. And I actually went one up, and I've got like although I got to be honest with you, I think I might have wasted my money here. This just it's too good for me. But it does come with this little wristband thing to do with if you're playing with electronics.
Strap, yeah.
Yeah. So you just strap yourself, and of course it comes in a lovely baby blue, which is not a bad color. But the tweezers are nice. But I wouldn't. Out of all of this, the extra money I've paid, I mean, the knife, I'm not happy with the knife because I found a better knife. But the tweezers are excellent. These look pretty good, but I don't think I'm going to use them. And these, I actually have a set of these, but smaller, which I use for shaping, like filler and stuff. But yeah, it's yeah, again, it's just like anything. You can go, oh, and you've got a little guitar pick as well, which I know isn't a guitar pick. It's got something to do with removing screens on phones. But I think this set is actually designed for someone who repairs phones more than someone who builds Routemaster buses, which is why I'm not getting as much use out of some of it as I should be.
Yeah, I just bought the set on its own. But I mean, as I say, I absolutely love the Poundland screwdrivers, and I raved about them. But since buying this one, I haven't actually used the Poundland one at all now.
No, it's. I just had to fish it out of the box because I didn't know where it was because it's been so long since I used it.
I mean, the main difference I can see between the new set and the Poundland one is very, very good, but I find the heads are a lot softer than the ones that we get with the Oria set.
Yeah, and these the partwork ones are softer than the Poundland ones.
Yeah, and not only that, the Oria ones have got a nicer grip, so you can really get a grip on them. You know, as we discussed last week, Penny, I went back through my suspension from issue 6, and I thought I tightened everything up as much as I could.
Yep.
And I went back round it with the new screwdriver, and I managed to get another quarter to half a turn on every screw.
Yeah, because you remember I couldn't quite get the screws tight on the chassis, so the chassis was kind of wobbling a little bit.
Yeah.
I went over with this. Yeah, I mean, a lot of screwdrivers have this, but the fact that this end rotates, it means you can pop it into your palm and then you just use it like that, and it's great.
Yeah. And it's extendable as well, isn't it?
Yeah, we like the extendy bit, don't we? And I did notice that where we go. I did see it. I didn't get around to acknowledging it. I did see it. Yeah, Chris Campbelling has said set technical name Wibbly Wobbly. So that this bit is now a Wibbly Wobbly end. That is now its official title.
Yeah.
So if
Wibbly
anyone
Wobbly,
says if I say to anyone use the Wibbly Wobbly end, I know exactly what you mean. If you come out with a technical name for it, I'll just go, no idea what you mean.
And then the only other thing it's got, which I find quite handy, but I haven't used it yet, is the adapter. I don't know, I can't see it in your set there, Penny, but there's an adapter on the top left, and you can actually fit it into a larger screwdriver.
Do you know what? It's gone. I must have knocked it out because it sits there.
Yeah, that's the one.
Flexible shaft, says Adrian Langley.
Flexible shaft. But no, I mean, the adapter's brilliant because you can then put it in a much, you know, in a bigger original size screwdriver and then downsize it to these small parts. So if you need extra grip on anything, you just whack that in and there you go. I think it's a complete all-in-one package, really.
Yeah.
So
we've been very rude. Sorry, Horlicks. We've been quite rude, and we've not really spoken to our guest much, have we? How awful guests we are.
Oh, I know. That's bad, isn't it?
So, first of all, how are you, and what have you been up to?
Oh, absolutely everything. Been busy, very busy. Visiting our daughter, and then got home to find that, well, the grass needed cutting really. So yet again, we had a drop of rain, didn't we? So,
didn't we?
Yes. And as soon as we have a drop of rain, then the grass shoots up. So I've been busy on that.
Of course it does, yeah.
And then regarding the Routemasters, well, I haven't done an awful lot. I've left 4 issues, I think it is, to do now altogether. And the reason I like doing it all together is the fact that if there's a problem comes up on one of the websites, then I can make a note of it and I can have a look at that problem when I come to it on my build. And it's worked out quite well that way so far. Yeah. I usually leave it 3 or 4 builds behind. So currently I'm on 24. Yep. And sorry,
go on now. I just said yeah.
Yeah, and currently I'm on 24, and I need to visit it this weekend at least to try and bring it up to date. But the news from this house is the fact that my wife wanted to get involved.
And if you wait a moment, I will bring up the relevant picture.
Okay.
I've lost my mouse. I can't find my mouse key. That's because I've got the mouse airborne, right? There we go. So I'm going to bring up a pitch. Sorry. Screen share. Right. So you carry on, Dave.
Well, the bus that you're hopefully all seeing now is Routemaster RM2208, and actually belonged to a friend of ours, and belongs at a local museum. And we've seen it in the flesh a couple of times. And my wife wants to build an interpretation of this Routemaster as her build. She didn't want a normal red one. She wants one of these. And who can blame her, really?
Well, good luck to her.
Well, what a project. What an absolute cracking project to take on, really. The livery that it represents is the George Shillybeer's livery of 1849, 1829, and represents 150 years of London transport in London. And she wants to replicate that. And I'm really looking forward to helping her.
You do know if she's going to build a bus, she's going to have to appear on the show one day.
Yeah, I think she'll agree to that one day, but
not this
just
day.
Not soon.
So
we've got between us, we've got a red bus, we've got a green bus, we've got a green and red bus, and we'll have a. Is it going to be black? Or is it black? Yes.
Well, it's indigo blue and pale primrose. Yeah.
So we're pretty much starting to cover the spectrum. So is there anybody else out there that's going changing the colours of it to make it into a different RM? That'd be interesting. Maybe we can get a light blue one. I know Great Yarmouth Transport were light blue. I suspect other operators were as well. But yeah, it could be fun to see all the different builds coming together.
Absolutely.
It'll be really interesting. I can't wait to see some of the finished custom builds. Definitely, yeah, it'd be brilliant.
Yeah, because we are getting some of the people are posting pictures of their weathering ideas, and I noticed that they're getting better. So my guess is that some people are posting weathering, and then other people are going, "Oh, that's good. I'll give it a go." And then everybody's learning from everybody. So the skill level across the board is rising, which has got to be good for the model industry, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So yeah, any other stories?
Well, I think we should maybe look at something else that I looked at recently, and that is, I thought about this bus and I thought, well, it's heavy now, and someone has said that it's going to weigh in excess of 12 kilograms, which is awfully
Sorry,
heavy.
I'm trying to find a picture and I'm going the wrong way, and I'm showing pictures of. There
You're
we go.
right.
Yeah, I was going the wrong way in my album, so I was showing funny pictures and.
Well, there's a picture of the finished article, and I think it's actually a promo that was built to do the television advertising and the advertising on the leaflets and everything. And I think this promo there is the actual build, or very close to the actual build that we will finish up with. And what I noticed about it was the fact that it's actually stood on blocks, and the wheels aren't quite necessarily on the table there. So when you think about it, 12 kilograms on them small tires, they're going to eventually make flat spots on the tires. So obviously, I think that's why they've come up with the idea of putting blocks underneath, just to take the weight off it.
And it's a good idea. And I mean, obviously, it's not tried and tested yet, but those who may be watching or doing the DeLorean will remember we got some blocks very similar to aid us in building the DeLorean. So they will be, there'll be surplus to requirements when the build's finished. So it could be they might be ideal for that job as well. But until I've got a little bit further in the build, I won't know. So I can confirm that later on.
Yeah. Dave, Love Minis has just asked, how top heavy is the double decker? And I think you'll be able to answer this a lot better than I can.
How top heavy is a real double decker?
Yes.
Oh, well, a real double decker, when it's made to a certain specification, will be made to a specification where it'll have to go on to a tilt test. And the tilt test is basically you run it onto a ramp and you would tilt the vehicle over to see how far it would tilt. And it has to go to a certain set angle before it would actually be allowed on the road. I can't tell you exactly how top heavy a double-decker bus is, but what I can say is that all makes are obviously all different. They come to different angles, but they all come within an angle that's acceptable to have them on the road.
Ask Alexa.
Yeah, I suppose you could ask one of the internet search engines to answer that question.
That's
as well.
actually what I'm actually doing as you speak. I was passing over to you so that you could give me a little bit of time to search it. Right.
Yeah, it's interesting actually, because I remember when I was a kid getting on the bus, I used to always scramble up to I always used to love it when it was a double decker, and I'd scramble up to the top because I'd want to be at the front at the top. But when I actually got there and we were starting the journey, every time we went around corners, I was holding on for dear life because I just thought this thing's going to tip over if he goes round slightly too sharp. But obviously it never happens. It never, but.
Yeah, I mean, basically, a bus is more bottom heavy than it is top heavy.
Yeah.
And that's because of the way they're built. Obviously, the engine's real heavy, the chassis is real heavy, the wheels and everything. So, and as you go further up the bus, the panels and the seats, they don't weigh very much, you see. So it'll obviously take quite an angle before they actually fall over.
Right, I'm still trying to buy a little bit more time. I'm sorry. I've got a brilliant picture you're all gonna love, but where is it? Where is it? I'm trying to find it because I found it on one computer and I've got to transfer it to another, and I can't think where I put it. Oh no, I've lost it. Okay, I'll have to save it again then. Like the
Technical issues.
do you know what? I'm not as good at this as I thought. Right, okay. It's because I found. Oh, right, okay. So I am so sorry about this, guys. I'm trying my best to get this, and I'm gonna have to load it up on my actual main computer. So Routemasters tilt
28 degrees.
test.
You've just looked it up.
28 degrees. Don't know what you're fucking about that.
It's more than 28 degrees, isn't it?
78 degrees is required for Hong Kong double-decker buses. For single-decker buses, it's 35.
Penny, my son's actually just looked it up and he says it's 28 degrees for a double decker. It's allowed to lean over, and 35 degrees for a single decker.
Right. So my computer has this problem where here we are, tilt test.
So that's actually quite a lot then, isn't it? 35 degrees, really. I mean,
Yes,
if you think about it, it's just amazing, really.
No,
In
that's not it.
1933, it was 28 degrees.
In 1933, it was 28 degrees.
Right, got it.
We are tipping over.
Picture.
Sandbags were placed in the upper deck to simulate 6 passengers.
Right. Oh, got there.
Found
right,
it.
now I've got to find
it.
Yeah.
And it's a Routemasters too.
There we go. That's the Routemasters on the tilt test. Oh, we got there eventually.
Excellent. Yeah, that's how you would establish how far and how heavy, top heavy, a double decker bus would be.
And that one's gone to about 40 degrees.
And you'd put sandbags on the seats to replicate passengers.
Right.
They have to pass a certain set regulation.
Right.
Before they're allowed on the road.
That is yeah. See, to me, that doesn't look like that's possible. It's like one of those optical illusions, isn't it?
Yeah, I sorry, I just caught a comment that made me laugh. Paul 61 said, "I've just asked the enemy if she'd allow me to buy one of those screwdriver sets. I'm awaiting an answer." So yeah, my understanding of the tilt test is the reason it tilts at such a large angle is because obviously with the engine being at the bottom, it lowers the center of gravity. There's actually not an awful lot of weight on the top because it's just aluminium. Is it aluminium it's made of?
Aluminium, yeah.
It's just aluminium panels. So there's probably what 3/4 of the weight is in the lower deck, and probably over half of that weight is probably below the passenger leg level.
Yeah.
So it's got so much weight pulling down that and it's virtually nothing. And it's even on a modern double decker. Obviously, I have to do my bus checks every day. So when you're walking about on the bottom deck and then you're walking about on the top deck, you can feel that the top deck is so much lighter than the bottom, and it's almost got this tinniness to it.
Yeah. and that's even more so nowadays because they're mostly made of plastic and what have you, cardboard, and they're not made of aluminium.
Yeah. I just saw the way you said plastic. It's like, yeah, I know. It's modern buses. They're not the same. I like modern buses, but I suppose I like them because they're a form of my income. So
well, there's nothing wrong with modernisation, but in some respects, some of the modernisation I don't agree with.
yeah, it depends what it is. I mean, I like things like the wheelchair ramps and the lowering floors, because obviously the pension population is growing by so much that there's more and more people, and obviously with age comes things like your joints don't work quite as well, and having a bus that's got a lower floor will really make the difference.
Yeah,
And obviously wheelchair accessible.
absolutely.
That's something, yeah. But in fact, I'll tell you a little story. I like to think I was a big part of getting some low floor buses in Norwich. We used to have a route that was run by, I can't remember what buses we had, but very sim. They were the old style ones where the entrance you had a bar in the middle, and you had steps either side. And you had like 3 steps to get onto the bus and 2 steps to get off. Um, and the problem we had a route that ran from two different housing estates and went through the city centre and onto another housing estate. And on one estate, it was mostly older people, people who'd bought their homes many years ago, and they'd all sort of grown old. And then on the other side, the other estate, there was a lot of people with buggies, and neither of them could get on the bus because the buggies were too wide for the entrances. So we had to stop and wait for them to fold the buggies up. And then on the other side, with the old people, they were taking so long to get on the bus. And in some instances, you were having to get out of the cab to help them up. And, I kept pushing and saying, we need low floor buses. If we can get low floor bus, or at least something that hasn't got a bar in the middle.
Yeah.
And eventually they got them. And that helped.
Makes a big difference, does a low floor bus, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm not into all of these digital instrument panels because that's just more to go wrong.
Yeah.
We quite often find we're driving with yellow lights on the dashboard all the time. And the rule is that if it's an orange, a yellow light, you can carry on. But if it goes red, you've got to stop. And then you've got a good example. We've got one where we've got one bus. It regularly comes up with oil overheating, and apparently what it is they've splashed oil on the sensor, and where that oil gets warm, it sets the sensor off, so the oil isn't overheating. But now my next question is, what if one day the oil really is overheating? That's just going to destroy the engine, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
And so when you've got more things to go wrong, they will go wrong.
Yeah. That's the downside of a modern vehicle, definitely.
Yeah. Teddy has said that the weight on the bottom of the bus and the aluminium top is the same principle as a lifeboat's. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The lifeboats, aren't they designed so that if it capsized, it would right itself because of the way the air is?
Yeah.
And Fleetwood J is saying his local bus companies almost replaced all of their double deckers with brand new fleet. That's interesting because I thought that it was a rule that they had to all be low floor and wheelchair accessible now.
I forgot which something to do with dip tack, wasn't it?
I don't know, but I just thought the rule was that they all had to be. Everything has to be accessible for disabled people. And Love Minnie's just said that when she was in 7th grade on a single level school bus was turning left and we got hit by a drunk driver. We rolled down a gully, but we were all knocked out and were laying everywhere,
Oh,
which is possibly why they brought in rules for seat belts, which is a very difficult one to enforce,
absolutely.
especially with our double-decker private hire buses. You can't control the kids at the back on the top deck. Yeah, new buses mainly fiberglass or steel chassis. Yeah, I think that's more to do with repairing them. A lot of buses that I've driven, they pretty much had panels that just bolt on. So if you have damage to a panel, you can just take the old panel off and bolt a new one on, and it's
Yeah,
back on the road within hours.
yeah.
Because it's quite literally, well, the wheels aren't turning, the company's losing money. So they want to get that on the road as quickly as we can. Horlicks has just very subtly reminded me we did forget one feature tonight, and that's next week's magazine. So
Yes.
will you accept
Yes.
my apologies? This is next week's part, which looks quite exciting. And it says that we are going to be fitting the thermostat and exhaust manifold to the crankcase. The engine and radiator are fitted to the subframe. Now, I didn't do a scan of this bit, so I'm going to show you, but they've included this part in the magazine, and we can see where things are now starting to get fitted in.
Oh, wow.
So I'm just switching camera views. All right, there we go. That was a good view there, wasn't it? So this is how far we've come. And it's really shocking how it's just all of a sudden in the last 10 weeks. It's gone from lots of little pieces not doing too much. The wheels were quite boring for some people, and then all of a sudden we've got this. And it's getting there. It's now almost at the stage. I don't know if everybody knows this. When you buy a bus brand new, I don't think you get it like this.
Oh.
You get all the chassis and the engine and the driver's cab, but all of this isn't included because then it needs to be sent off to a bodywork place who then puts all the bodywork in. So we only need the driver's cab, and we've pretty much got a bus as it would be bought brand new from the manufacturer. Am I totally wrong there, Dave? Or
well, with the Routemaster, of course, doesn't really have a chassis.
You'll get it like this with the Routemasters.
As it's built on subframes, so you wouldn't basically get a chassis. But with most other old buses, you would get a chassis, wheels, and a steering wheel and an engine, and that would be it. It would be sent to the bodybuilder.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think I'm going to apply for a new job. Fleetwood Jazz just put that they ordered 25 Alexander Dennis Enviro 400 cities with more to come. I absolutely love those buses. They're fairly simple, but they do as they're told. And that's what I like about a bus, when it just you press a pedal or you press a button, it does what it's meant to do. And they replaced the single deckers with Alexander Enviro 200s. So no bus in their fleet is 3 years old.
Wow.
Are they getting those second hand? Because I know that Arriva at Aylesbury were replacing some of their buses, but they were downgrading them to other routes because the 280 route from Aylesbury to Oxford has a rule that your bus has to be a certain spec because of all pollution and stuff. And then once the bus gets to about 4 or 5 years old and Oxford Council upgrades their spec, the buses are no longer any good. So then they have to buy new buses. And I'm wondering if if the Enviro 200s, I think they're the older one, aren't they? I might be talking out my bum hole there, but I know a lot of companies are benefiting from the second-hand market, where bus companies have got these top of the range buses to suit in emissions rules, and then obviously once they're no longer meeting those emission rules, then they're getting rid of them. So all these smaller companies are buying up these second-hand buses. So everybody's benefiting. So yeah, Teddy says that he likes the older buses, proper driver machines, manual gearbox, no power steering. No, new buses virtually drive themselves. Yeah, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But it's when if you have a bus that practically drives itself, and then you have the attitude that it practically drives itself, then that's when accidents occur. You know, you don't want to be driving it thinking it's automatic, but I'm here just in case something happens. And I think that, you know, we've just had a new driver. He's only been with us 2 weeks, and he's had an accident, and the company have had no option but to get rid of him. And I think he might actually have gone in with the attitude, oh, this is pretty much driving itself. A lot of the more experienced drivers who have driven buses in the past, which are a lot more difficult to drive, they've got more of an attitude of, yeah, I've got to keep control. And I know it's also like the newer buses, they're a lot more difficult to stop. You get the old buses, like if you take your foot off the accelerator, same with most cars, it'll gradually come to a halt. But whereas the new buses, because of the braking system and the engine system, it'll slow down to about 3 or 4 miles an hour, and then it'll just keep going, and even uphill it'll just keep going. You physically have to hit that brake.
Yeah.
And that's where you can get into trouble. Chris Davies says, oh yeah, Chris asked me a question earlier on about issue 27 and 28. Yeah, he actually meant 26. Can I come back to you on that one, because I'm going to have to find the magazine. If I make that a feature of next week, would that be okay? And that'll just give me a little bit more time to prepare, and then I can find the magazine and I can make some little scribbles. But I've got a feeling 26 is exactly the same as 27, in that if you stop and you study the instructions, and just take your time over it, and I think I can't remember which part it is, but the black pipe consensus seems to be this. Oh, sorry, I thought I broke a bit there. Oh, right, where are we? I've lost. I'm terrible with these camera angles, aren't I? Right. So this black pipe here, which I've taped to a bit of cork, the cork isn't a bad idea, but what's a better idea was don't even fit it yet. Don't fit that black pipe until you actually need it. And I think someone has posted in Facebook that you can quite easily fit that much later on. So I'll tell you what, I'm just going to have a little look at that. That's what I thought. So that's going to go in something like that, is it? Anyway, that's me going off topic, isn't it? So yeah, if I can't remember what part that one came with, that might even have been 25. But yeah, Dave says he's left the pipe off until the engine install, and I think that is probably the most sensible idea, because so many people have broken it just there. I managed to put live on air, which is not amusing for me, but might have been for you guys. And there's basically, if it's thin, try to not install it until you absolutely have to, is probably the best advice I can give. So yeah, Chris, you're after replacements. I would advertise maybe on Facebook, but if that doesn't come up, Don't buy on eBay. Has either of you two noticed the price of issues on eBay? Is that people just being hopeful?
Yeah, I think it's people being hopeful, really. I think it'll get cheaper as time goes on as well.
Yeah, I hope people aren't. I mean, some of these are like 20 quid an issue they're asking on it.
Yeah,
Issue one, I've seen that for like 15, 20 quid.
Yeah, well,
So, and it's like, well, why should I spend £20 on issue one, which has cover price of £1.99, when I can get it from Hachette for £1.99, amazingly enough. So,
yeah,
but you get that on eBay all the time, don't you? You get hopefuls.
I haven't seen any on the other search engine, well-known buying site that begins with A.
Amazon.
I haven't seen any on there yet.
Yeah, there you go. £15 for parts on eBay. Do you know what? Actually, I might buy up loads of these pipes, and then I'll stick them on eBay for a tenner a pipe. No, anyone says, "Can you?" Well, I say, "You've broken yours, have you? Where else are you going to go?" I'll buy so many that Hachette just keeps running out, and I'll go, "I've got some, tenner a piece."
Yeah.
So Teddy Sound, wonder why the flywheel has to turn as prop shaft is a fixed part. I'm going to pass that one over to Dave. This is my idea of a cop-out.
Well, I don't think it has to turn at all, because obviously the prop shaft doesn't turn. The prop shaft is fixed, isn't it, on the model?
I'm assuming I can't remember all the parts, but I assume you're meaning this red part here.
Yeah, the flywheel. It doesn't really have to turn.
Yeah, I mean, it might just be it's a round part that's fixed in the middle, so it's going to turn. But didn't the instructions say that it's going to turn?
Well, I haven't got to that far in my build, so obviously I don't know that yet. So I only know what other people have said and done. And as far as I understand it, the model, well, the prop shaft definitely won't be turning. That's definitely fixed. But whether the flywheel turns or not, I don't know.
I don't know. I have a big apology to make to Alan Rooney. I'm really sorry. I did forget to respond to you. So he says hi, Alan Finglass, Dublin. So yeah, I feel absolutely awful. Look. But yeah. So how are you? Are you building as well, Alan? Are you up to date, or are you a little bit further behind? And then Dave Miller said he's got part 13 off eBay as Hachette could not supply as ran out. 13. I think. See, I'm surprised he haven't run out of issue 12 because I got loads of issue 12s out of them because the dampers I didn't like. Teddy Connor is a Reaver. Are you a Reaver Liverpool at the moment? He's at ex-London buses because I'm ex-Arriva. Well, I'm ex-Arriva Luton because Arriva is Aylesbury is technically an outstation of Luton. So yeah, nice to see you. And I'll be honest with you, I've worked for First Group and I've worked for Arriva, and I've worked for some smaller companies. And I'd say one of the best companies I've worked for is Arriva. Although I did enjoy working for a tiny company in Aylesbury called Redline, because the guy who owned it, when you've got a company owned by someone where that's his bread and butter, if it fails, his children doesn't eat. One of those kind of companies, he's going to put heart and soul into it. And he used to say to me, "Oh, Penny, you are such a good driver," and I'm like, well, I don't know why. First, I just come in and I do my job. And he goes, "Yes, Penny, that's why you are such a good driver. You come in all the time, you do your job, and then you go home. That's all I ask of drivers." And why do drivers have to make it so difficult? And I'm like, okay, fair enough.
Right, this is going. So I'm going to have to dash off slightly early this evening.
No problem.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say thank you and thank you to everyone. And yeah, I'll see you all next week.
Yeah, no problems. You have a good week. To be honest with you, I'm going to be wrapping the show up soon myself anyway. Because well, so I always aimed. There we go. Fleetwood J says Arriva the Shires was my old stomping ground. I used to use the number. No, 61 Aylesbury to Luton. That was that's now the Dunstable bus. And that's quite a nice little route. It's lots of twists and turns and can be quite dangerous in places. But that features on my absolute favorite duty was one where in the morning we would start off by doing a Watford, which is a 4-hour round trip. As soon as you finish that, you have a break. And then in the afternoon, you did one trip on the 61, which is a 3-hour round trip. And that's your whole day done. And you're like, some people are like, oh, I've got number 9s and I've got 15 rounds on them. And I'm like, I've only got 2 round trips today. And they're like, oh, can you swap duties with me? So Alan's on part 5, have updated issues, extra issue 6, reason why I'm so slow. Oh, bless. Well, sorry, yeah, take care, Horlicks, look after yourself. We are, what we've been doing, because Horlicks is so far behind, what we're doing is we're featuring his issues when they come in. Because it's nice to go back and go, oh my God, I remember that. But yeah, it's nice to revisit parts, and I think once we get to say part 100 or something, it'd be nice to go back to. I mean, this bus is going to look so primitive and awful by the time we get to part 100, isn't it?
It certainly is going to look unreal, really. You know,
Yeah.
It really is. It's going to look so superb, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really looking forward to getting on with the bodywork and seeing what
that's the bit you really want to do, isn't it?
Seeing what the interior's like and the lights and everything and the bell and there's all sorts to look forward to.
Yeah. I'm directing this comment mainly at Alan Rooney, but it goes for everybody. If anybody is having a problem with a particular issue, I'm quite happy to revisit that issue. We'll do the build for that week, and then we'll hit a certain issue, and then we can really go through it in depth if you want. Yeah, this is why we're here, to try and help everybody, helping everybody. So if there's any, I mean, would you like me to feature issue 7 next week, and then we'll go through it in detail? But yeah, that's quite happy to do that. And then, as I say, I'm pretty sure that by the time we get to issue 100 or 150, there'll be people saying, "Oh, can you help me with issue 3?" And I think that's going to make the show even more fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. If we can go somewhere to help people, then that's one of the main things, isn't it? Really.
Exactly. That's what this is all about. Is helping each other.
Yeah.
There'll be parts that you're better at than me, and there'll be parts that I'm better at than you, and parts that other people are better at. And yeah, if we all just, like I said about the weathering, where more and more people are doing really good quality weathering, and I think that's because they're looking at other people, and they're learning from others, and they're giving. The most important thing, I think, is giving it a go, and sometimes you'll be surprised at what you can do.
Yeah.
So I think I finally figured out this camera angle. Remember when we had trouble with the auto switching? I think I finally figured it. So you should see us flicking between each other now as we talk.
Oh, that's all right then. Well, let's try it, shall we? No.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
I'm still on you. No, we're still on you.
No, because you can see me and I can see you, I think. Or I'm on presentation mode or right. So does anybody have any burning questions? Dave Miller's saying starting to rain here and gotta take the dogs out. This is the only trouble with dogs is they still need a walk when it's raining. But they do enjoy a nice evening summer walk as well, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I've got 3 badgering me tonight, so because I've got a bit of food, so
yeah. Oh, they love you when you got food. Yeah. When I used to own a dog, many a times I'd look out in the weather and think, oh, it's far too wet to go out there. And I'd look at my poor little dog crossing his legs and I'd be like, yeah, we've got to go, haven't we?
Yeah, there's no way out.
Right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Con. I'm going to write that down, and I'm gonna look into that a little bit more detail. And if you would be kind enough to watch us next week, hopefully I'll have some more information for you. It might be relevant to a future issue. It might just be a bad design fault. I really don't know. So if I could actually find my pen, I have pens and then they walk off. So I know what it is. Do you know what? I have my right. I'm going to disappear for a minute. I'll explain why in a moment.
Get him. No.
Right, my apologies for that. What happens is I have my pens on my work desk and I'm getting ready for work in the morning. And obviously, I need to take a pen. So I'll pick a pen up, I'll pop it in my pocket. And then when I come home from work, I take everything out of my pockets and I put it in my table by my front door. So, of course, all the pens, they move from my work desk over to. Do you know, I am so sorry. I've just been speaking to you for the last few minutes on mute. So I do apologise.
Well,
Anyone who watches me on Twitch will know that I do this a lot.
I could hear you. So.
Oh, you could hear me, could you?
I could hear you, yes. Yeah,
oh, fair enough then. So yeah, basically I've special talent to lose things. Yep. No problem. Ask reasons. Local news agents looking back issue. Right, with the back issues, I think I know the answer to that. As this is what WH Smiths has told me. When I placed my order with WH Smiths, which is for the benefit of you that don't know, WH Smiths is a major news agents chain, which is nationwide. Basically, as well as being a news agent, they're also a magazine distributor. I think the 2 big companies in the UK is John Menzies and WH Smiths. And depending on where you live in the country, will depend on who your supplier is. Now, as the part work progresses, Hachette actually supplies less and less issues because they know that people will quit the build as it progresses. So they've already pre-planned to start cutting the number of issues. Now, if less people cancel the build than expected, then obviously everyone's ordering too many issues. And obviously Menzies are going to make, WH Smiths are going to make more money from the issues that are sold through WH Smiths than they would be distributing it to a local news agent. So it's always going to be the local news agents that are ordering 1 or 2 copies that are going to be the ones who suffer, and they're the ones who get the backlog. They're the ones who get the missing issues. So then, of course, they'll order back issues, but all of the small news agents are ordering back issues. So then there's a lot of orders being placed. So then Hachette goes out of stock. So then you might have to wait a month or 2 for the slow boat from China to come over with all the new issues. So that it takes a long time. Sometimes you get So I just read the message about Teddy saying thank you. Absolutely no problems, Teddy. That's why we're here. And it's always also lovely to see new faces, new names on the chat list. It's brilliant. So yeah, basically, the larger the chain, the more issues you're going to get. Saying that, because I know that my local W8 Smiths, they used to order 3 copies of of the Routemaster, and then when I placed my regular issue, that came off the shelf. So instead of having 3 on the shelf, they then had 2 on the shelf, and mine went in my box. And then I noticed that round about part 14, the issue on the shelf is reduced to 1, and now the last 3 weeks I've gone into the shop, and that 1 issue on the shelf has disappeared, but mine is still in the box. So I'm anticipating that my issue might disappear sometimes. So you've got some people are getting them on a Tuesday. I don't know how that happens. Mine has appeared on a Tuesday on 2 occasions. But I've learned the first time, don't pick it up on a Tuesday, because it's then sitting there Tuesday evening and all day Wednesday going, open me. And I'm going, I can't until I do my show. So I don't pick it up until Wednesday. It's very hard to have these wonderful looking parts and not open them. So yeah, and I don't know what the answer is, because you'll get some local news agents will never have a problem with their delivery. And if you're ordering from a local news agent, you're supporting a small local business.
Yeah.
Whereas by buying my parts from W8 Smiths, I'm supporting some Fat Cat's cigar collection. But I'm getting my issue. So what's the priority? Feed the big fat cats, or get my issues? Or, I don't know.
It's a difficult one, isn't it, really?
Yeah. But things seem to be smoothing out. We are, if they got a lot of issues that are selling out, so maybe they will order more in, get more made. Because most of Hachette's partworks, they do a rerun, don't they? So this isn't going to be the only chance to get Routemaster.
I think I've seen a couple of reruns, but I don't know what there was.
Well, I know that cake decorating, apparently that's up to about its 4th rerun, because I collected that years ago.
All right.
Yeah, I've still got the parts somewhere, actually. Out of reach. But yeah, it came with a free pink toolbox with those stencils and things in. No, I loved that. I was into cake decorating.
Yeah,
to learn how to do, and I learned how to do flowers with that one. So that wasn't a complete waste for me, although I didn't finish the build. Right, so I'm going to end the show now if no one objects, because it's pushing 10 o'clock and I'm starting work at very early in the morning.
Blimey, it's soon got round to 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I found it quite interesting that we finished the build quite quickly.
Yeah.
But yet we could probably carry the show going for hours more. But then you're such an interesting guy. Oh, bless. Horlicks has just sent me a message apologising for having to dash and the reason why. And it's like, well, no, we all have personal lives.
Yeah, that's okay. That's, no, it's not a problem, is it, really?
No. Right, so I think now that we've been doing a few shows, I think we're starting to get a bit of a schedule going. I shall ask Dave, if you don't mind. We'll try and get Dave on, say once every 4 weeks. Would you be happy with that, Dave?
That would be fine by me if that's fine by you. Yeah. Yes.
We'd like to get 2 weeks after Dave and 2 weeks before Dave. We'd like to try. I'm in the process of finding other builders who might like to come onto the show, just as irregular guests. And then we'll have a week where we're going to be featuring Horlicks' build, which unfortunately we couldn't do last week because he didn't receive his correct issues.
No, that's right, yeah.
And then we'll also have, I'm going to try and start getting on with my second Routemasters. I've got enough bits now.
Yeah.
There was one thing I forgot to show you last week, because I showed you all the primer, which I've got really good results out of it. If I can find the bonnet. This is what happens when you try and tidy your room. You make it worse. But before the primer, I don't know how much of a difference it makes. But what I was told to use, that I forgot to show you last week, is this stuff called gunk, natural green. It's a degreaser and cleaner.
Oh, I know exactly what that is. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know exactly what that
because
is.
my first question is, oh, is that difficult to remove because it's got gunk? And they said, no, that's just the company name.
Yeah.
And I did use it on the bonnet. And this is basically make your own tack rag material, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Well, you can just use white spirit. White spirit will do the same.
Fair enough then. So I've been oversold with this, have I?
Well,
here's a product that's far better than what you actually need.
it's okay. It's gunk. Smells good. That's if it's still the same. It's still the same recipe.
I don't actually remember the smell. You know I'm going to open it now, don't you?
You used to clean your engine when you used to have an engine
Yeah.
in your car.
Yeah, it smells not quite. It's fairy liquid, but without the lemons. The lemons tint. No, I'll tell you what it smells like. You know those bubbles you get the kids, and they come in a little tub, and you blow the bubbles. That's what it smells like.
Yeah.
So it's basically, and it's actually bubbly. So it's obviously some kind of cleaner.
Yeah, degreaser it would be, won't it?
Yeah. I don't want to touch it because it's got a big cross on the back of the tin in it, and it comes in a metal container, which to me says very dangerous.
Yeah, in undiluted properties anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's what I bought for cleaning and preparation, and then go over. I haven't actually touched the bonnet since I've primed it. I'm planning on I was planning on doing it on Saturday, but now I've got to work Saturday. That's bank manager's orders.
Yeah.
Discovering partworks and 3D printers means that I have to work lots of overtime.
Yeah.
But if you want nice things, you got to work for it. But
yeah,
I'm going to be stripping and priming quite a lot of metal parts on my second build. So that'll start to come together. So they'll be stripped, they'll be degreased, and then they'll be primed.
Yeah.
And then after the primer comes a very light sanding.
Yeah.
And then it'll be painting. But
will it be a couple of top coats?
Yeah, what I'm looking at doing is just applying some really. I'll try with my acrylics first. I've got a theory that if I paint with the acrylics and then apply a gloss varnish over the top, because this gloss varnish does come out looking quite nice and thick.
Yeah.
So 2 or 3 coats of ordinary acrylic paint with a good 2 or 3. In fact, actually, the varnish that I'm going to use is I have a new favorite brand. Let me just bear with me a sec. It's this one here. It's a company called Watercolors, and they develop some really nice paints. And I've tried these a few times, and I've got this in abundance. So I'll be experimenting with the bonnet, and I'll see what it comes out with this.
Yeah.
But I'll be playing with the airbrush, and
Excellent.
it's just going to be a case of nice thin layer, give it a light sanding, put another layer on, light sanding, and just keep it smooth. Right, sorry, I've just caught a comment from Kenneth. Sorry, that's my alarm just gone off. You probably get this every week. I set an alarm for Wednesday at 10 o'clock to tell me I've got to take the bins out. So Kenneth Milford says, "Hope you don't mind, Penny. I watch your Routemaster build and take hints from you before I do my build. 1 month behind, due to no. That's why I put the videos up. Dave, yeah, Dave, you're right. You take care, guy, Dave. We're not actually going to be doing too much now anyway. So you go and take your dogs out. Them having a pee is far more important. Yeah, I make the videos to try and share my thoughts and my findings. I've not done the short Friday night videos because it's just a personal reasons. But I felt that having this live show is probably sufficient.
Yeah.
That's why when we do the build, we try to just crack on with the build, and then we do all the talk and chat afterwards. So that
Yeah.
if you're watching the show just for the build, you can start at the beginning, let it play, and after about, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes, that's the build. If you're not interested in the waffle that comes afterwards, that's fine. But we haven't then dotted bits of build all over the place.
Yeah.
What I'm looking at working on is taking this the section from the build and using that again, but adding in photos so I can say, right, this is what I did, this is what I found, and the whole purpose of those videos are to share what I have found with everybody else. Now you may find something different. There's a few of the screws in this week's issues where
Aye.
they just won't tighten up. But I found that I still found like what I can't remember which side it is now, but these bits on the side, one of these, I think it's this one. No, they're both really tight. But one of the screws it just keeps going. So whether I won't take this apart because I don't know if it'll be strong enough after that. But maybe I've stripped the plastic. Maybe the hole was cut slightly too big.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's my findings. Now you may find something different, and also the bit about the weathering, the dry brushing. You may
Yeah.
find
Excellent.
that useful. You
Yeah.
may not.
Yeah.
You know.
To me, it's all useful because it's just like instructional video
Yeah.
of putting it together and little
Yeah.
hints and tips along the way, and that it's all got to be useful to
Yeah.
and if people can chip in with the comments of well, I would do it this way, or
Yeah.
have you thought about that, or that would be great if they could.
Well, if it hadn't been for you and Mike, I wouldn't be putting washing up liquid on the screws.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's a really good example of how we've all come together. Right, okay, so I can see us waffling on for hours and hours. It's
yeah.
always a
And
pleasure to see you, Dave.
okay,
Um,
thank you for asking me, and we'll do it again someday. Well,
yeah,
it'll
no
be
problems.
in 4 weeks' time, I would have thought. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's
So
fine by me.
I'll try and pin down a regular schedule so that we all know what's happening in advance, so people know you're coming on in 4 weeks.
Okay, thank
Obviously, if
you.
something happens, I'll still ask you in about 3 weeks. Don't think I've
Yeah.
forgotten about you. Um, so yeah, so guys, thank you for watching. Yeah, don't forget the bins. Yeah, I mustn't forget the bins. I live in a house of multiple occupancy, so we've got about 8 or 10 of us here. So, and it's funny that it's always me doing the bins, but if I don't do the bins, then you've got 8 people's worth of rubbish doesn't get collected for the fortnight. But no one else will do it. But I'll probably get it in the neck if I don't do it. But it's a 5 minute job, and I'm always out of the house. If I forget to do it Wednesday, I'm out of the house Thursday, like 6 in the morning. So I'll do it on my way out.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching. It's been a brilliant show. Looking at the stats at the moment, it looks like you've enjoyed it. So we'll try and do more of the bits that you do enjoy, and we'll try and add to it. So yeah, so I will see you all again next week. Thank you so much, and thank you to Horlicks, which I hope he'll be watching this bit later on if he's
Yeah.
not watching it now. I will stress I can't do this show as well as I do it without Horlicks.
No.
He's not an assistant. He's my co-host,
Oh,
and obviously
definitely,
tonight,
yes. Yeah.
yeah, and tonight, obviously you, Mike, you're my co-host. It wouldn't be as good as it is without everybody. So with that, I will bid you farewell. I'll just give Dave a chance to sign out as well. And I look
Okay,
forward to
well,
seeing you all next week.
I bid you all a good night and on this fine Yorkshire day. Goodbye.
Bye bye.